Without football fans, there's no football, there's no game. It's absolutely essential and integral that this whole debate about, what are the problems, what is the problem with English football, encompasses all views. And that is players, it's managers, it's the media. But equally valid, equally important, and arguably more so, is the voice of the supporters, because without them, there is no game.
I think it's really important to get the fans' views because they're the ones who are almost disenfranchised. No one's really listening to them, and they're the ones who go week in, week out, who spend the rest of the week talking about it in the pub, who are incredibly qualified to see what's wrong with England, particularly the national team. You look at the members of England fans, so whatever, 20, 30,000 of them now, every one of them should be on the FA Commission or talking to the Football Association, because they're the ones who really understand the problems with the England team, which are many.
I looked at the survey and I really enjoy going through it. It's not exactly long, it only takes a couple of minutes to go through, but you have to think, you have to be willing to sort of argue things yourself while you're filling it in. But also, most of the possible outcomes, conclusions are fairly simple. But everyone has a vested interest in this. We all, together, the whole of football, everyone who cares about the game, should be willing to spend the time to do this, because if anything helps to bring the answers together, to coalesce a viewpoint and a way forward, then we should embrace it.
Yeah, it's an easy survey to navigate, get through. You can give your opinion one way or the other, fill in the question and answer, the multiple choice, and then at the end, get your thoughts down on, expand if you want, your ideas.
I enjoyed it actually. I think it was a good cross-section about whether fans are more appreciative of national football, the English FA, or their club teams.
Easy survey to do. It was nice and clean and good questions, and interested by everybody's answers.
It's important to cut some clarity through all the issues. I think that the questions address all the areas that people are debating, and I think that the answers will provide you with some kind of prioritisation process for it all.
People feel like there's no consultation, and that decisions are made A, without involvement of the fans, but B, without sort of consideration of what the fans think. And this is an opportunity for fans and for journalists and for everybody to say this is what we think, and it's an opportunity for the FA and other people to listen to that before reaching their own conclusions.
This country is a football country. We know as football writers that everyone has an opinion and they're never all the same. The more people that get involved, then the better. The more opinions that we manage to get together help us through the problem, I think.
For me, the biggest problem with English football is simple. In too many cases, self-interest is bigger than the national interest. The clubs act what's good for the clubs, understandably. They don't think of the wider significance, the wider context, the wider needs.
I think there are two main areas. I think one is right at the bottom, where we coach technique to our young kids, and where we don't acknowledge coaching youth development as a career. We don't treat our coaches with enough respect. We don't pay them enough money, and we don't have our best coaches coaching at the most important stage of a footballer's career, which is right at the start.
We need more quality. I do think though that we are in a lull at the moment. We're lacking quality. We're going through a very lean period of time. We've gone from the golden generation to really lacking top quality players. As the players like sort of Gerrard, Lampard all come to an end, you begin to wonder where we're going to replace them. We're just in a lull at the moment, I think.
And then the second problem, I think you hit between 18 and 23, which is processing that talent into an elite footballer and getting it ready for the Premier League and getting it ready for Champions League football and getting it ready for England. Personally,
I think things have been aggravated over the last few years because we've produced fewer and fewer good players. I think we had a freakishly good generation, which was we used to like to call the golden generation. I think they were a freakishly good generation who covered over the cracks in English football for a long time. Now that generation's on the way out. What we're seeing is there have been a very few top class or even sort of the level below that players produced the last few years. So I think that has brought things to the point where people are discussing them, and hopefully now people can take a long-term view, because far too much time has been taken over the last few years at club level and country level
you want to see England do well at Euros or World Cup, but it's all about club football for me. So much more passionate about it.
Unless you have a strong national team, a strong base for the national team, a programme that thinks about the long term of the national team, you're never going to have the strongest club team you should have, because the pool from which the players is drawn becomes narrower and narrower, and you end up having to go overseas, and you end up with a substandard product. We are all mutually dependent on it all working together.
If you ask me what the biggest issue holding England back, I would say it's psychological. There are many other issues, foreign players, the lack of investment in grassroots, but for me it's purely mental. We've seen Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard dominate big matches against the best teams in the world, but psychologically when they put that England shirt on, it weighs heavily on them. I can't remember too many great games that Gerrard or Lampard have had individually with the national team, but I can give you hundreds of examples of how well they've done with their clubs. So it must be psychological. It's partly our fault in the media. They're concerned about headlines. I talked to one player I asked him, what's the last thing you think about before you run out onto the pitch? And he said, all I worry about is what ratings I'm going to get in the newspapers the next day.
Every England fan has an opinion on the problem with English football. Here's your opportunity to have your say.
I've had my say.
I've had my say.
I've had my say.
Now it's your turn.